Welcome into the bunker of General Gridiron, field marshal of football forecasting. We're about to map out the way this college football weekend is gonna go. Will your favorite team be marching to victory, or will the enemy be taking your battle flag? This is college football's championship weekend, where the winding road to the college football playoff will finally be straightened up. This also marks the final General Gridiron of the topsy-turvy coronavirus plague 2020 campaign. So you gotta cross those fingers and hold your breath that this weekend's championship tilts actually happen. So put your mask on, grab a helmet, and man those battle stations. We're ready for another round of General Gridiron's football foretelling. Ball State meets Buffalo in the MAC Championship. David Letterman's proud alma mater has not hoisted a MAC championship trophy since 1996, 3 years into the late-night legends fun in the Ed Sullivan Theater. A top 10 list filled with more than laughs will be delivered by Cardinal coach Mike New as he aims to deliver a real punchline at Ford Field Friday night. The Muncie Maulers meet up in Motown with a resurgent horde of Empire State Bulls. UB's in the top 25 and sport a perfect 5-0 record in MAC play. Linebacker James Patterson will be the big bull on defense, and his Bison brethren will keep the other guys silenced most of this evening. The Generals victor, Buffalo. Oklahoma versus Iowa State in the Big 12 Championship. Congratulations to Matt Campbell and the Spinning Fury from Ames. ISU has made it to the Big 12 Championship game for the first time ever, and if they somehow emerge victorious Saturday afternoon in Arlington, it will be the Clones' first conference banner since back in the 12 season. That would be 1912, when they won the Missouri Valley Conference. As the bright lights from ABC's cameras shine on the Cinderella story from Corn Country, Lincoln Riley and his wagon train know the Big 12 better than anybody, and playing for another ring is all the motivation Spencer Rattler and his teammates will need to go for their 9th Big 12 title in just a dozen years. But the storm's going to rage with a pretty good quarterback, and history will be made for the little cow college by the Skunk River. The Generals victor, Iowa State. Louisiana Lafayette at Coastal Carolina in the Sun Belt Conference Championship game. Team Mullet from Kenny Powers' hometown, no less, checks in at number 9 in this week's AP Top 10. Coastal Carolina has been one of the amazing stories of college football in a season where good stories have been often overlooked by the deadly virus. One of the key wins for Coach Chadwick's Grand Strand Roosters was a mid-October triumph at the buzzer over the Raging Cajuns, a game played at Lafayette. But no doubt Billy Napier and his hot sauce connoisseurs have been raging Cajuns after that setback, their only loss on a 9-1 slate. So this Sun Belt Fun Belt title game gives ULL the opportunity for payback. Watch for Levi Lewis and Elijah Mitchell to have fun at the beach 6 days before Christmas and Scrooge the chance out of perfection. The Generals victor, Louisiana Lafayette. In the Mountain West Championship, Boise State versus San Jose State. For the first time in 8 years, the 6-0 Spartans are in college football's top 25, and they're considered host of this MWC Donnybrook, actually being hosted at UNLV's old home, Sam Boyd Stadium in Las Vegas. This is San Jose State's first appearance in the Mountain West Championship game. And kind of like that Big 12 matchup, the Spartans mimic the Cyclones, while the Sooners and Broncos are the proven commodity in title games. The virus got in the way of an SJSU-BSU battle just after Thanksgiving, but no running from each other now. This time they're going to play, and Brian Harson's Broncs will gallop right past the Grecians. The Generals victor, Boise State. Alabama and Florida in the SEC Championship game in Atlanta. Okay, kids, in the heat of battle, you don't throw the shoe of your opponent 30 yards downfield and help cost your team a win and shoot down any chance at a national championship. Evidently, that valuable life lesson was not relayed to a certain member of the Water Lizards defense. So, Florida belly flops to the ATL with a real downer. Sure, Dan Mullen can try to spin this week as a chance to win an SEC crown, something not done in Gainesville since back in 2008. But apologies to the Jort sporters, Tebow ain't guiding the Gators anymore, and the fellers on the other sideline Saturday at Mercedes-Benz Stadium are called Alabama, and they're number 1 for a dang good reason. The only question about this one is which Heisman frontrunner will have the better day, Mac Jones or Devontae Smith. The Generals victor, Alabama. Still to come on this championship weekend college football forecast. The Pac-12 has some crazy plans to ensure somebody plays in their championship game. And the ACC's Notre Dame Fighting Irish go for their first conference title against a team in Clemson that possesses 19 ACC titles. Who'll have the upper hand at Bank of America Stadium? That pick's coming up when General Gridiron returns. Howdy, soldiers. This is General Gridiron back with you. Each week, this fabulous football forecast is heard on some of the finest radio stations all over the home of great Gridiron Goliaths, including in Hot Springs, Arkansas, KWPS FM 99.7, Fox Sports Arkansas, and in Jackson, Tennessee, WNWS FM 101.5, News Talk Jackson. We appreciate all of our radio affiliates. Now, let's get back into the championship weekend football fight. Tulsa and Cincinnati in the American Athletic Conference Championship game. False start, Tulsa and Cincinnati. These two were supposed to suit up and have a precursor of this weekend's title game, but there we go again with that darn China virus. That last regular season contest for both schools scratched, so now we arrive at this big old game inside UC's Nippert Stadium. The Queen City Kitties are a perfect 8-0 and ranked high in the latest college football playoff rankings, high enough that there's a tiny chance UC can become the first G5 school to enter the playoff. Knowing that and that cold Cincinnati air will affect the visitors, ain't no way the Luke boys play fickle. The Generals victor, Cincinnati dominates. Washington at USC in the Pac-12 championship game. Due to the wacky way things work out on the left coast, especially around San Francisco, the Pac-12 title game had to be moved from Levi Stadium and will now be held at the conference member with the best record. In this case, the men of Troy have somehow found a way to roar back from the jaws of defeat to enjoy a perfect 5-0 ledger. The latest escape, a thrilling 43-38 comeback in the final seconds in the Rose Bowl against Hollywood neighbor UCLA. The Dogs come south for Friday Night Lights hungry for conference glory, but that's if they get to play. The Pac-12 has asked divisional runner-ups Oregon and Colorado to play their game at USC too, just to be on standby just in case one of them needs to play in the championship game in case of a virus outbreak for either UW or SC. Makes sense? Heck no, but what do you expect from the left coast? Assuming the Trojans and Huskies actually play, the men that call the Coliseum home will feel right at home. The Generals victor, USC. Northwestern versus Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. Ryan Day is out of the coronavirus doghouse and ready to get his Buckeyes to a familiar spot, Indianapolis. After the game got vetoed last week, OSU might be a little sluggish entering as the Big Ten East champ. Actually, the lack of football prowess from that side of the Big Ten might be the bigger story as the Nuts dream of a college football playoff invite. Brutus Buckeye ain't going to be able to outstudy the Evanston Nerds off the field, but the way Pat Fitzgerald has coached, this one just might be the one to get the head scratching on this championship. The fighting Reese Davises won't be backing down from Justin Fields' punch, and behind their own field general and Peyton Ramsey, the Wildcats will scratch their way to the big upset and their first Big Ten title since 2000. The Generals victor, Northwestern in an upset. Clemson and Notre Dame in the ACC Championship game. This one by far is the best championship game taking place on this day of championship games. If Faulkner or Hemingway were still writing, this one would be a bestseller. The Irish play for the first and likely only conference championship. The South Carolina football team looks for payback on a team they likely would never have lost to if their long-haired lanky QB had been playing in touchdown Jesus' shadow. Here in Charlotte, it won't be just the ACC types tuning in to see the champ. This game has enormous implications on the college football playoff. An Irish win should mean Trevor, Travis, and the rest of Clemson is out, and a dark horse sneaks in. If Team SO Club emerges victorious, who knows, we might just see these two for a third time this season. All the General knows is during this matchup 6 nights before Santa Claus's arrival, the Tigers' nose will be shining bright. The Generals victor, ho ho ho, Clemson. We've already looked at the big title games taking place across the nation, but hang on to your helmet, there's more around the corner. We'll be back in a moment to wrap up this week's General Gridiron with our rapid fire picks. This is General Gridiron back with you. We've already maneuvered through this championship weekend's college football showdowns. Now, it's time to fix bayonets and storm the field with our rapid-fire football forecast. Texas A&M terminates Tennessee. Georgia makes Vanderbilt an unbelievable 0-10 in SEC play. Wake Forest scalps Florida State. Army storms Air Force. California bites Arizona. Missouri mesmerizes Mississippi State. LSU filet gumbos Mississippi. Wisconsin wins Paul Bunyan's axe against Minnesota. Penn State pounds Illinois. Iowa embarrasses Michigan. Stanford sucker punches UCLA. Oregon State chews on and spits out Arizona State. And Indiana keeps the old oaken bucket against Purdue. Well, troops, you can now put your swords back in their scabbards. We're all out of picks on this Week 16 edition of General Gridiron. This wraps up the show for a coronavirus crazy 2020. Thanks to all of y'all that tuned us in on the radio, Facebook, YouTube TV, and at Yall.com, the ultimate guide to the South. Now, don't forget to tell your friends all about the show. Just search for General Gridiron. This is John Rawl, the General of Gridiron Glory, thanking you for letting me be part of your football weekends. General Gridiron is a production of Yall.com. For more, log on to the ultimate guide to the South. See y'all in 2021.
That'll be all.